After probably over a decade, we have finally gotten a new Airsoft MP9 in the market. Maruyama has a pretty good track record so far, so let's take a look at the highly anticipated Maruyama MP9. Weighing in at 2 pounds and 6.6 ounces, or 1 kilo and 94 grams, the upper and lower are made out of polymer. Despite the price, it's a really nice polymer. The integrated vertical grip is at a very comfortable spot and is perfect for this platform. There are Picatinny rail sections on the right side and top of the replica. The stock is at a nice length. The bud pad stays in your shoulder well. It's also foldable. The round sights are not really usable for airsoft since it's so small. It's replicated well though. The controls are done very well. This is the only Airsoft MP9 with modern controls. There are 2 sling points, one on the left side of the replica and at the stock. The finish looks pretty nice. Comparing it to pictures, it basically looks identical to the real thing. And since it's polymer, you can't scratch it. The only marking you'll find is the MP9 engraven to the left side of the replica. It looks pretty good. The outer barrel is steel. The muzzle is compatible with the included QD MOC suppressor. The suppressor weighs in at 310 grams. It has a bottom rail for a convenient light. Overall, the replica feels solid. You can't bend the polymer at all, and there's no creaking anywhere. Let's take a look at the internals. To fuel strip for repairs and maintenance, hold this lever down and rack the charging handle. Doing so will let the bolt go farther forward than normally. Now push the recoil spring in the back and bring the upper up slightly. Finally, push the takedown tab in the front while also pushing the muzzle up. Internally, the fire control group is made out of steel, with the exception of the housing. The design is based on a VFC Glock 18, so it doesn't have any similarity to the real steel. I recommend gluing the springs of these parts to each other, so the spring doesn't no-clip out of reality when it pops out. The bolt carrier is made out of aluminum, with a steel insert on the back where it interacts with the hammer. The screw holding the steel insert will loosen after a while, so I recommend putting some Loctite on it. The bolt assembly group looks to be wearing in quite well after over 4,000 rounds now. The hop-up is TDC style. You can adjust it on the top rail with the included Allen key. The vertical grip actually has a holder for the Allen key, which is super convenient. To get into the hop-up, remove this pin, which will fall out easily, so don't lose it. Then separate the inner from the outer barrel. Now removing this screw will give you access to the hop-up. Wow, that was easy. Looking inside, it's technically not a TDC style adjustment, but it's a pretty simple design involving a nub. The inner barrel is 120mm long. It's the standard VFC black aluminum barrel and blue bucking combo. This replica will take standard GBB spec buckings and inner barrels. To get into the nozzle, remove the screw on the back of the bolt. Now pry at it to get the bottom plate to separate from the bolt. Now, removing this screw will free the nozzle. Wow, that was also really easy. If you need to remove the nozzle return spring, just push out this pin here. This replica uses the standard VFC Glock 18 version 2 nozzle. Let's quickly talk about the MOC suppressor. What's cool is that the adapter has 14mm negative threads, so it can fit any muzzle devices that you would want. The tube definitely has enough space for any tracer you'd want to put in it. And the cap has holes, so if your tracer emits any flashes, it can still be seen. It also dampens the sound a lot, making the replica go from a loud pop to a more muted thump sound. From what I've seen, this replica is 1-to-1 to the real steel, so parts should probably fit. Maruyama has also made a bunch of stuff for it though, and Angry Gun has also confirmed that their MP9 suppressor series fit this too. Let's get into the issues. First off, the fire control group is basically a VFC Glock 18, and full auto Glock fire control groups don't have the best reputation for durability, and with around 3000 to 4000 cycles, my rotor is already showing some noticeable wear, but the replica still works fine though. Also, my trigger safety didn't work out of the box and will break after some time. That's kinda disappointing. Secondly, it is in full travel. Although it's technically not an issue, it's definitely going to make this replica a lot less desirable. But good news, it's fixable. Since I'd like to review the stock form first, I'm not going to go too much into details of the mod right now. I will make a guide on how to do it after this video, but if you want to try it for yourself right now, Bananami posted the instructions in HRC, as he was the one who discovered it. The replica came bone dried out of the box, so super loop should be used for smoother operation and lessen wear. It's a little finicky to reassemble, so I'll take you through it. First, have everything completely assembled in the upper. Then lower it into the lower until it doesn't go anymore. Then push the front takedown tab and push the front down all the way. Now push the recoil spring in the back in and push the back down. If it doesn't go down, it's probably because the upper is caught on these protrusions on the side. Once it's completely seated, push the inside of the barrel back with your finger for this lever to pop up. Sometimes it needs some help, but once it pops up, you are good to go. The magazine weighs 246 grams and holds up to 45 BBs. It can be loaded with a speed loader with an adapter. These magazines do tend to bind up over time, so I recommend cleaning them once in a while. If you are wondering, the bullet stickers are easy to remove. The magazine release is positioned similarly to a pistol. It's ambidextrous and the magazine can drop free. The charging handle is located at the rear. It works well and the bolt travels smoothly. The bolt release is very reliable and it works as intended. The selector is really nice. It's very stiff and clicks into positions really well. It's hard to flip from semi to full with your thumb though, but I just push it halfway or so and finish it with my index finger. The selector on the right side is shorter than the one on the left. It works the same though. Similar to the real steel, the trigger is not the best. There is a decent amount of free take up to a discernible wall that is quite heavy. It does reset with an audible click though. Pressing this button will free up the stock to fold to the side. Unfolding it is as easy as yanking it back in place. At 70 Fahrenheit and 20 grams of gas in the magazine, the replica was able to fire off 149 shots, which is around 7.45 shots for every gram of gas. Weighing the mag after every magazine showed a trend of using 6 grams of gas for every full magazine load. I also let the magazine warm back up to 70 Fahrenheit after each magazine. I don't recommend filling up to 20 grams of gas though. The gas efficiency will be better than this if you fill up to around 14 to 15 grams of gas. My shooting cadence was also random, with single, double taps, and random strings of fire, as shown in the video here. That full auto performance was kinda weird. Let's see a different one. That worked pretty well. I found out the replica does tend to siphon sometimes, but at 70 Fahrenheit, it should clear the mag and lock back easily. With the magazine chilled to 40 Fahrenheit, the replica doesn't work well at all. The bolt does not travel back far enough to pick up the BB. Sometimes it does though. Let's see how full auto performs. Not well at all. The BBs didn't even exit the suppressor. Alright, let's backtrack a little. At 50 Fahrenheit, semi does completely fine and clears the mag. Full auto looks to be functioning pretty well until, well, the bolt gets stuck in the rear and it will not go back into battery. I then would have to use something thin to push the hammer to unlock the bolt. Weirdly enough, this only happens at around 50 Fahrenheit and on full auto, after shooting around 10 to 20 BBs. I had this happen 3 times already, and nothing is broken as the replica is still fully functional. It could be due to the worn rotor, but I'm not entirely sure. This might just be mine though, because I haven't heard of anyone else running into this issue. So semi works great and full auto works too until that happens. So I'd say it will run fine until the magazine is around 40 Fahrenheit. Anyone who has more knowledge on Airsoft Glock fire control groups, please let me know in the comments why you think this happened. The recoil is okay. The kick is pretty minimal, but the insane rate of fire makes the replica really fun to shoot. I did have 2 KWA MP9s before, and can confidently say that this has more recoil. Here are some comparisons for reference. With .32s and 100 feet out, the groupings are okay. The hop is able to send .32s into space, so I'm sure it can handle heavier BBs. Here are the groupings for .3s. What about .28s? And finally, .2s. Let's take a look at the different muzzle velocities with different BB weights. .2s average at 351 FPS. .28s average at 305.5 FPS. .3s average at 300.9 FPS. And finally, .32s average at 286.5 FPS. As I said before, the mock suppressor does make a big difference in how loud the MP9 is. Let's start with the pros. It's a good replica of the B&T MP9 with good quality externals. The internals are designed well with steel parts. It's really easy to access the hop-up and nozzle. It's the only Airsoft MP9 with modern controls. The replica and magazines are super light. The gas efficiency in semi is good in favorable conditions. The replica and magazines are both affordable, and it's fun to use. Now the cons. It's not a full travel bolt. The replica doesn't work well down to 40 Fahrenheit. It has a non-realistic Glock 18 fire control group. The trigger safety breaks easily. It siphons on full auto most of the time. And it needs to be imported for people in the US. In conclusion, the Maruyama MP9 does have its faults, but for the price, I think it's designed well. The externals feel and look amazing, internals are still where it should be, and although it's disappointing that they went with a Glock 18 fire control group, given the price, it's understandable that they did. The internals of the upper replicated the real steel well though. The controls feels great, and the performance is nice with decent gas efficiency. Although it does siphon sometimes, it would still work. The magazines are also insanely light while also holding up to 45 BBs. The siphoning and cold temperature performance is disappointing, but it's not the worst thing in the world. With that being said, is it perfect? No. Do I think it's better than the KWA MP9? I would say so. But let me know what you think is better in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment with your thoughts or question below to help me with the algorithm, and consider subscribing if you like my content. Thanks for watching.